Okay, boys. I think it's about time I update the tier list. There's been a few changes since 7.3 for B. I believe we are now in 7.3 for C, so just one letter change. But I've had enough time to feel out both the B and the C patch a little bit, less so the C patch, but kind of give like an update on what pit heroes I think are good. There are a lot of ones I wasn't sure about, so like first things first, where's Earth Spirit? I'm going to put him minimum A tier. I think that it's just too easy. Like, it doesn't feel like if they pick Earth Spirit, you can't win. Like, it doesn't feel unfair. Like, it's not like S tier, but it doesn't feel like it has any lane counter, at least none that I've come up with in the past, like, couple days or so. Um, he can secure range creep from, like, his base, like, literally from the tower throughout the whole mid lane. Um, I'm pretty sure. I think they nerfed the damage on the Q a little bit, but I'm pretty sure even before the range creep's even deniable, he can kick a boulder at it and it will do like 160 or 170 damage level one or something like that. Like there's no interaction. He can drag the wave back if he's in a bad matchup, and just kick a boulder at the range creep. Bada bing, bada boom. Um, Also doesn't need boots. Like you just rush Vessel, which is barely that much gold. It gives you good stats now too. So like very, very low floor mid hero. Doesn't necessarily win mid often. Like if you're better than them, maybe you could kill them at level 6, they're ulti early, but you like literally can't lose a lane. Like maybe Huskar and like some other heroes can give you some trouble, like Quap, but you'll like get enough to play the game no matter what, even if you're 100% counterpicked. Um, I'm gonna put Invoker, like he's either S tier or A tier. I'm gonna leave him in S. I had him in S before, I think. Um, Kind of feels similar. I don't think there's too many counters to Invoker mid. Like TAs, whatever. Like the classic counters don't feel that bad because you get so much damage with the Quaswex build and you just drain your opponent's mana. So it just feels like this hero also you can just first pick it and not care at all about your matchup and just a very strong hero. I think that the nerf to the shard, like it was really broken before. If you BKB'd, the shard would still pull you for like half a second or something. You had to linger. I think all that stuff, the nerfs are starting to add up, but we're like a few nerfs away from him being dethroned. It's still super strong. What do we have here? What's next on the list? Bat Rider. I'm gonna like give it a C. I think the hero is like you're either gonna have a really good start and do really well, or you're just gonna exist and not be that strong. It, like definitely does not feel as strong as it was like a year or two ago. If you snowball from getting kills in your lane, you still like take over the game, but just feels like a much slower start on average than before. Um, I don't know. I've heard Bane mid. I don't know, guys. I'm being honest. This one I'm gonna add in. I forgot to add in last time. Alchemist. I would say that like put him in D tier and not F. Um, the lower your MMR, he goes up a tier. Okay, so like if you're in Herald or like 0 to 500 MMR, put him in S plus plus Giga tier. If you're at like 9K MMR, put him in F tier, and just kind of go from there. Like the lower MMR of the game, the easier it is for you to farm your items, and the less you're gonna get punished, and the like faster you're gonna get online, and it's like super good. Right now, I don't think in good faith I can give him more than a D as mid. I don't think you're gonna have very easy lane matchups. A lot of vessels out there right now, right, with Invoker and Earth Spirit in the meta. Keep in mind that like maybe you won't see as much Earth Spirit the lower ends of the ladder. I'm about 9.5K right now or 9.4. So I see it like Invoker Earth Spirit a lot. I see like a vessel in almost every game. So I'd put this even lower for me, but this is supposed to be like a general tier list for the most part for everyone. So just keep that in mind. Really, a lot of these heroes, as like a disclaimer, go up and down in relative strength depending on what's meta. So like in previous tier lists, I was like, well, Pango is really strong and Ember is really strong. So now Huskar is really strong to kind of counters them in lane. So like similar thing, like try to move them at least up and down one tier depending on what heroes you see a lot. So if you see sniper mid every game, probably don't want to play too much Ember versus that, for instance. Depends on your MMR, the meta, your region even can change things. What else do we got? Arc Warden, they keep changing this guy. I don't know if he's good or bad or backwards or upside down. We're just gonna keep put him in not sure. Clinks. Honestly, I've been impressed sometimes with Clinks, but he fell off really hard since the start of like 7.33. I would say you might have an okay time on Clinks, but wouldn't necessarily recommend it unless you're already playing it, type of thing. Bristle, I'm gonna put him in not sure. Like normally I put him like lower or not have him at all, but he seems like he could have some potential if someone comes up with a good build for him, or like a good matchup. Like it really, again with like Earth Spirit and Invoker, even just like Vessel heroes being really popular, kind of would feel like you'd have a slow start a lot of the time. But you pick it against like maybe like an Ember or something. I don't know. Probably you're gonna get a pretty good farm. And the Ags, I haven't seen too much of it, but does seem very strong. Death Prophet we're gonna throw in D tier. Pretty much only pick Death Prophet if every other hero's banned and you're trying to counter Ember Spirit, and there's like no other options, or maybe not every other hero's banned, but you don't play the other heroes that counter Ember Spirit. I'd literally only play this against Ember Spirit, I think. Maybe even like a Leshrac or something, but I'm not even sure about that. AA is another hero that's popped up mid here and there that like don't know if it's good or not. People are trying it. Broodmother, we're gonna put an F tier for mid, and the same caveat I gave to Alchemist. The lower your MMR and the better you are at Broodmother, this can go all the way up to S. So like if you're 1k MMR, but you've played thousands of Broodmother games, you're probably going to be the king of 1k MMR eventually. Like very hero that goes up a lot when people don't know how to play against it. What else do we got? Nothing. Ember. I think I'm gonna drop Ember down to B. I think I had him in A before. Doesn't feel as strong. Like he gets a micro nerf every patch. So like a year from now he's gonna drop down to F. Like if we have enough letter patches. He just gets a nerf every single. Like Lion gets a small buff of like 3 damage on Earth Spike, 5 range on Mana Drain, like 0.5 more armor on Lion. Ember Spirit just gets like 5 damage off Sleight of Fist, 2 movement speed. Like he just keeps getting ticked with these small nerfs that are starting to add up. And the meta's changed a bit. I think you have a hard time landing against Invoker. And you don't really punish Earth Spirit as bad, it feels like. Like, it feels like a good lane for you, but he kind of just, like I said, he doesn't really get counter. He just kind of does his thing. He does it faster than you. Dragon Knight, don't play Dragon Knight mid. Like, it's not a good hero. You don't farm very fast. It feels really strong if you can get all your items, but you might as well play something else. It's just really not good dispatch. Shaker, this is a hero I would put in not sure after the changes. I would have had him in A right before this patch. I'm going to put him in C to be safe, but could be a B. Like, it's either C or B. And I'm going to lean towards C because the nerfs seem really impactful. But I haven't play tested the nerfs yet. Huskar, we're going to throw up in B. I think it goes down a tier. There's less Pangos and Embers. I mean, there's still a lot of Pangos and Embers, I guess, but like less than before. And Vessel heroes and mid are popular. Like, I don't know how the Invoker Huskar matchup goes, but I'm sure it can't be too bad. Same with the Earth Spirit Huskar matchup, and they just Vessel you in the mid game. Get a nice setup for you. Like, get kited by Invoker if you don't have a BKB, you just get disarmed by the Deafening Blast or thrown in the air. Cold snapped. Like it definitely is like toxic in the mid game at least. Kunkka, well, I'm gonna have 2 bold predictions in this tier list. Okay, I'm putting Kunkka in S. I think the Aghanims is broken with the torrent change, where like the torrents leave like slows and damage on the ground over time. Like you can walk into a torrent after it pops now. It won't stun you, but you'll get damage and slowed, right? So you get the Aghanim's on this hero, and it's like a very different spell. Plus the Aghanim's has a cast range on it, doesn't just go around the hero anymore. I think that we're gonna see a lot of Kunk at TI if there's no changes. Um, for my personal experience, it seems really, really strong right now. Realistically, probably A or B, but I'm putting him in S. That's my bold prediction. One of the two bold predictions I have, at least. Maybe in like a couple weeks or so, I'll update the list again. He'll go down, but I like feel really strongly that Kunkka's underrated, and maybe I'm overrating him because of that. But very, very strong hero right now. Leshrac, I think Leshrac goes down a tier to C, just because Invoker and Earth Spirit seem really strong against him. Invoker's like one of the most classic counters I have played in my life for Slesh. He needs mana to farm in the early game. He drains mana. He needs to heal with the Bloodstone. You Vessel him. Seems very simple. Same with Earth Spirit. Like you can kick him away when he Bloodstones. So he doesn't heal as much because he's melee damage with his spells pretty much, and like you're also going vulnerable in the roll. You just run away from him. It feels kind of hard. You can get a Yule's on left to catch him, but he doesn't always die. It just kind of sucks, honestly. Other than these two heroes, though, you have a pretty good time. So if you're not seeing much Earth Spirit mid, a lot of these heroes can go up in value for you. What are we missing? Lena, I'm gonna give her a D tier. Maybe she's C tier. I don't believe in the magic build that much. I find this hero is always strongest when there's a good right click build for her. And the magic build is like either very niche, like it feels good against like a Morphling or something that you want to burst that stays on low HP, but you don't really have a purpose. Maybe it'll be good against the PAs because PA is very popular. But the problem with like typically magic damage counters PA because she's squishy, right? And she like relies on the evasion. But with the Aghanim, she's like permanently smoked and like always gets to choose when she jumps somebody. It's very difficult for Alina to jump a PA first, right? So yeah, just not really a purpose in the meta from my perspective. Lone Druid, I'm gonna put in C tier, probably at the bottom. I think the diffuser build is kind of strong. I don't see it a lot on the NA server. The few times I do see this hero, it feels strong, and I think it recently got a little buff too. Could be higher in a few weeks when I update this list, but I think hero's like pretty good now. I think a lot of the changes have benefited him a lot. People are starting to figure him out. Magnus, F seems low, but kind of fair. Really, like you could play Mag or DK mid, and like maybe I could put it in the D tier. I don't think they have a purpose really in the meta, and like kind of similar to Lena, but Lena's power level is higher. Like these heroes have been nerfed a lot from when they were last strong. They don't really have like a good matchup or purpose in the meta. Like if you're really good at Dragon Knight or Magnus, you can still carry a game on it. But it's not going to be like, oh, they picked Ember Spirit, I'm going to carry this game as Dragon Knight, or they picked this hero, I'm going to pick Magnus and carry the game. Whereas a lot of these other heroes, aside from like Kunkka, Invoker, Earth Spirit, be like, oh, they picked Ember, I'm going to pick Kunkka, or not Kunkka, Huskar and carry the game. Oh, they picked Ember, I'm going to play was Earthshaker for me and just carry the game, right? Like there isn't necessarily a purpose in the meta for those heroes. Monkey King, pretty much only against Ember Spirit. I don't think there's another matchup. Like maybe against Kunkka. I wouldn't recommend it for mid either. I don't think it teaches very good habits. It's definitely a hero you can have in your wheelhouse as a counter pick, but not something you're going to pick blind. Queen, I'm going to leave this hero in B. I still win most of my Queen games. I think the Aghanim's build is still very strong. Do I think she's oppressively strong? No. Do I think she has insanely good matchups right now? No. Just solid hero that I would pick. And even if the enemy team picks Puck, I'm not too sad about it. Puck is either like bottom of B or top of C. I'm going to put him C because personally I'm not a big fan of playing it right now. I think the laning phase is really weak. And honestly, the lower in MMR you are, depending on your experience on puck. So if you're like a first time puck player that's low MR, you're gonna have a terrible time on this hero. Very, 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 very bad base stats for laning. If you play thousands of games on puck in your low MR, you're gonna have an insanely good time on this hero because you're gonna know how to deal with the poor start from like your base stats and your laning nerfs. And the late, this is like probably one of the strongest heroes of Dota late game. Like definitely the strongest int hero in the game past like 40 to 50 minutes. Um, what else do we got? What else do we got? OD. I will save OD for a bit. Necro. Necro is going to move out of like very niche category to like maybe a C. I think it's better in the off lane, but they're like you could pick it against Ember, maybe Huskar, maybe some Kunkka. People start playing it. There's two Vessel heroes in the meta. I know I've said that before in this video already, but they buffed the living shit out of this hero. You just go like, don't buy Radiance. Please don't buy Radiance first. I think that like going Shard or like double bracer, maybe an Atos, maybe a Vessel, maybe a Yules, Boots of Travel if you're mid 100%, Shard to farm, one shot free plays with Shard and Q, and then you move into like Kaya Sange, Heart, and then maybe a Radiance or Shiva's like game if they have illusions or something, but please stop buying Radiance first, it's so bad. That'd be my big tip. Omni Knight's very niche. I've played this and not had much success unless I specifically lane Ember Spirit. So I think the hero is actually really strong off lane, and you might actually see it at TI picked a decent amount, but the only time I've seen it do well mid for me is literally against Ember Spirit. Even against Earth Spirit, it was okay. Like I was winning the lane, but like I said, if you win the lane against Earth Spirit, it doesn't matter. He buys like a 3,000 gold item by 10 minutes, and he's like the same impact as if he had 4,000 gold. Very similar to Invoker. Like you could be down 2 to 3k net worth on the enemy mid by like 20 minutes and have like the same impact because your spells and like just having levels with a Midas and a Vessel is like impactful enough most of the time. You need to scale late game, but it doesn't feel like putting those heroes behind really matters. I'm going to put Ricky in very niche game. Now, I used to have this hero higher personally. I think I had him in D tier before, so he's fallen a lot. Like I'm not even going to put him in F. I think that like too many lanes are hard. He's been nerfed too many times. I think the beginning of 7.33 when he got buffs, he was really, really strong. And then 2 days later, they nerfed him to the ground when they let Medusa run rampant forever, it felt like. But yeah, don't recommend that hero right now. Shadow Fiend, I'm going to leave him in B tier. Think the hero is quite strong. Maybe he would move down to C, but personally, I win like every time I pick this hero, so I'm a little biased. And other than Invoker, there isn't really a hero in the meta I'm sad about laning against, which is really good. But I would only pick this hero to counterpick the enemy. I wouldn't necessarily pick it to like pick it blind. You need to win your lane to buy yourself enough time to farm your mid game items, especially with like so your team doesn't get screwed while you're farming. But yeah, Razor, I'm not sure. Could be strong. Definitely feels strong in general, but I'm not sure about mid. Storm, I think we're gonna leave in C tier. Void Spirit's gonna go down a tier once I find him. They just don't. They just been nerfed a bit, especially Void Spirit. Storm still feels fine. I have a pretty good win rate on Storm, but I don't really want to play Storm into a lot of the meta heroes. And it does feel good as a hero you can pick and not be too sad about your lane. Like, if I play against Huskar or Shadow Fiend, I don't mind being Storm. I'd rather be Storm than Ember versus those heroes. But there isn't really too many matchups where I'm like, oh, okay, they just picked this guy, time to pick Storm Spirit. So he kind of is like a hero I'd pick blind, but not really be like just like an average Joe, right? Exactly what C kind of describes. Void Spirit, just it's too hard. Like all the heroes beat you in lane, and you can't do anything without items on this hero anymore. Like your spells are just too nerfed. Feels impossible to secure creeps with your Resonant Pulse level 1. You just get behind. Very, very, very weak hero compared to before. Zeus, I'm going to put in D tier, and this could move up next update on my tier list, maybe. I think that he's been getting buffed a lot, and he has potential, but it's hard to know when you should get Lightning Hands or not. I know against Naga Siren, I've won every game as Lightning Hand Zeus, but sometimes the spell build just feels better, and it's like the spell build is still just flat out worse than it was when Aether Lens was an Octarine core and you had the old shard. But the Lightning Hands build makes him more versatile, so I don't know. Coddle, I'm not a Coddle player. I don't want to comment on Coddle. I think that Coddle is either like C tier or below. But I really don't know because I don't play it and I don't play versus it often. This is more of an EU thing, honestly. Templar, maybe C tier. You have to pick this in a good lane. And like if let's say like a good lane for me would be Ember Spirit for TA. I would rather be Huskar and Shadow Fiend. I'd rather be Invoker. I'd rather be I'd rather be Necro even. I'm not sure. There's like plenty of heroes I picked before, and I don't know. It doesn't feel very good in the mid lane compared to the safe lane as a counter. Like if they pick Mars off lane, and you pick TA, you feel so much better in a 2v2 lane with your meld than you trying to just like zone somebody off a farm mid with meld. Very strong hero to get your timings on though. So the TA is a hero for mid that I recommend for beginners sometimes, just because like it teaches you good habits for farming. You want to get your 12-minute treads, Dragonlance, Deso, maybe 13 or 14 minutes if you're like still trying to learn how to farm. But it's kind of like more of a single player experience. You're just trying to farm really fast. Pangolier, I'm gonna put this in A. Dropped out of S. I think Hero is buffed in the early game. Like the shield crash is very strong, having the barrier, but no disarm is huge nerf to the late game potential of the hero. And then otherwise, it's like functionally identical. Stronger early, weaker late. Still very strong in general. Still a pretty good win rate in general, but not something that like completely shuts out their carry at like 40 minutes by just spamming disarm anymore. Sniper, I'm gonna put in like I'm gonna put Sniper in the D tier, okay? I don't think Sniper's a bad hero. Same thing as Alchemist. If you're in Herald, Sniper is S plus plus tier, and then he goes down a tier for like every rank up. You know, like once you hit 7K, 8K MMR, this hero is more of a D tier hero. You can still win on it. It's not terrible. Got some good matchups. Can do pretty well in lane. Can be pretty consistent on it, but just not really what you're looking for in a mid hero to pick every game. Tusk, F, like same thing as Dragonite and Magnus. The new Tusk is Earth Spirit. If you want to play a support mid type of thing that scales. Tiny, put them with the boys in F. Lost Strength Bros. They still haven't recovered from the Universal patch, really. They felt much stronger before that. Slardar, not sure. It could work. I've seen some people try it, but not really seen it more than that. So, you know, maybe it's cool, maybe it's not. Primal Beast, we're going to move him up to the B tier, I think. I think we'll probably see a lot of this hero at TI if he doesn't get changed. Feels quite good. Very hard hero to just completely zone out in lane. Like, I think he doesn't necessarily win lanes very often. He's pretty good against melee heroes, but a lot of range heroes in the meta are heroes that, like, if you play Primal against Earth Spirit, for example, he just kicks you away, or even just kicks a rock and your W does no damage. It's, like, very hard to really kill your opponent as Primal against a lot of the meta heroes. Am I missing anything? Tinker, I'm going to put him in niche instead of not sure. You need to play a bajillion games of Tinker, and then he's S tier. Until then, he's F tier. So unless you have like literally hundreds of games on Tinker, it's just gonna feel like the worst hero in Dota. And then once you've hit like 10,000 hours of Tinker, no one can beat you ever again. So very hard hero to rate. Am I missing anything? Wind Ranger got a small buff, but I'm not sure about her as well. So many viable mid heroes in Dota. I really don't want to forget one. I think Pudge is quite niche. Like it can work, but I pretty much only pick it against Naga, and there's other heroes I'd pick first. Timbersaw fell off the face of the planet. We're gonna put him with the strength boys. I think he's universal now, though. We'll go top to bottom. Top. What else am I missing? What else am I missing? Oh yeah, Snapfire fell off the face of the earth. I think it's still viable, but no one's been doing it, so what do I know, you know? Bum bum bum. Okay. And then the last most controversial take. I think this hero is S plus plus Giga like S tier. The mana allergy is one of the most broken things I've ever seen. But everyone uses the ult wrong still. Like they ult to secure kills. They don't just use it at the start of a fight. It is ridiculous how broken it lasts 7 seconds. This hero is gonna get picked at TI, I promise you. I think that like two heroes that are super underrated, and OD's honestly picked a lot, but probably not solved as much, like build wise. I think Kunkka's pretty solid build wise and just super underpicked, but both these heroes seem insane to me, and we'll just have to wait and see. Realistically, they're like B tier at worst, but my bold prediction is both these heroes are going to be really, really contested at TI if they're not changed until then. And I think that's really it. Double check. But yeah, that would be my tier list update for 7.3 for C. I know it says 7.33 up here. I just need to find one with all the heroes on it to make my own. And yeah, hope you enjoyed. Drop a follow on my Twitch, subscribe to the YouTube channel, drop a nice comment, and I'll see you next time.